need help with addiction and don't know where to go, you can call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. If you need help with addiction and don't know where to go, you can call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration 24 hours a day. The number is 1-800-662-HELP or 1-800-662-4357. They work around the clock and will help you find what you need.
Hey, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. People, really happy to have everybody here tonight. We're going to be doing one of my favorite things to do here on the channel. We have an opportunity to read somebody's goodbye letter, and we've done these in the past. If you're new to the channel, you may not have seen them. We do have a playlist that is like a greatest hits of a lot of the goodbye letters that people have written. And if you haven't had a chance to write one yourself, I really encourage you to do so. Excuse me. Even if it's one of those situations where you don't want it read on the air, you don't have to share anything ever that you don't want to. But it's really is a great exercise. It's one of the reasons that most rehabilitation places around the country will have you do this. And it's just a great opportunity to end a chapter of your life. You know, so oftentimes, we've talked about this in other videos, your drug of choice does become a friend. And in many cases, you know, it goes far beyond that. You know, it becomes almost something that you love. And for some people, it even gets traded in for godlike status, where it is put before family, it's put before anything. But taking that opportunity to anthropomorphize, to put human characteristics to that substance is one of those things that really gives people an opportunity to end that. And it's symbolic and it's important. It's one of those things that really, really helps. We've heard so many times from people who have written goodbye letters and then had an opportunity to also come on and do interviews here on the boat, where they talk about just how life-changing the process of writing that letter is. So I would recommend it to absolutely anybody. If you're in the process of fighting the good fight, I would say that this is something you definitely want to do. Today's goodbye letter is from a trusted and loved member of the boat. You haven't seen him in the comments section as much lately. I was speaking to him earlier, and as it turns out, he is now working some really unbelievable hours. In fact, sorry, people, just getting this letter squared up here. It's a little bit crooked. He's been working 12-hour days and has literally been doing it 7 days a week, which is, you know, I've done this for brief periods of time in my life, and it's one of the most difficult things that you could possibly imagine. It's not healthy, but right now he says he's still catching all the videos. He's just doing it sort of at a slower rate because of what he has to do in his real life. But this is from Justin. You know, Justin and Lucinda Roberts, they were really, really great crew members of this boat. And as he said to me when he wrote it, this is short and sweet. And I think this sums up exactly where I'm at, you know, in my walk. He starts out, "Dear friend, when I was lonely, you were there by my side. When I was depressed, you were there to help. You helped me through the hard times when I couldn't find anyone to talk to. You were always there by my side to comfort me. No matter what I did or what I said, you were there and never judged me. Unlike most of the people in my life, you also never left my side. I could call on you at any time and you were always there for me. But now, my friend, it's time to say goodbye. You see, you consumed my very being, my soul. You were all I could think about. It affected my family, my life, my work, and most importantly, my health. I thought I couldn't live without you, but now I know that I can. I don't need you to be here to tell me everything is going to be okay. I now hate you, and I wish I had never met you. So this is farewell, old friend. And no, we won't be keeping in touch or seeing each other. I am happy now, and I intend to stay that way. Who is this friend of mine? His name is alcohol. And I officially said goodbye to him in 2007. And I promise you, crew, I will never look back. Sincerely, Justin Roberts. It's a really sort of a punctuation mark, people, to have an opportunity to say goodbye and to do so in such a way that, you know, it's really for the person that writes it so much more than it is for those of us who have an opportunity to, you know, to hear it read. Hopefully, if our crew member and our brother ever gets an opportunity to stop working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, I'd really like him to come onto the boat and do an interview. It's been these interviews have been amazing. We were actually going to be doing one today, and when you hear who the person I'm interviewing is, I think you'll be number one, you'll be surprised, and I think it's going to be one of those interviews that people talk about for a while. But today was one of those days, people. I actually had a couple of things planned that I was going to talk about, but as happens so often in life, you know, the greatest laid plans get sort of sidetracked. And today was one of those days. If you're a crew member on the boat and you've spent a lot of time here, you know basically what goes on in my life because I share it all with you. And recently, I had a piece of wood bury in my finger, basically up to the bone. It's a very, very unfortunate injury that happened at a job that I was working for about 7 or 8 days, 9 days when this happened, and literally got impaled. A very heavy pallet, you know, one of the wooden pallets that you see that they stack things on, fell. And as it came down, it went into the small finger on my left hand. And within 24 hours, the infection just got bad. And that finger sort of doubled in size. And then it was getting to the point where it was tripling in size. And I went in to try to get some assistance. And the way things worked out, people, at being an ex-convict and one who is currently still on paper with the federal government. And if you're not familiar with that phrase, what it basically means is, although I'm not in prison, my service to the federal government in terms of my punishment is not over. When you get out of federal prison, you go on probation. Now, normally probation is something you get instead of going to prison, but with the feds, if you think about it in terms of parole, what happens is you get let out of prison, but they're going to follow you around for about 3 to 5 years to make sure that you don't go back to your old ways. So there are assignments that you have to do that keep you in the loop. So what really happens is you end up with drug classes that you have to take. You end up with all of these different assignments that you have to do whenever they tell you have to do it. You hop through a lot of hoops. You dial a number every day and you enter, you know, the last 6 digits of your social security number, and it tells you whether or not you have to show up that morning for a drug test. You call it the night before. So after getting hired at this job, in the first 6 days I was there, I had to leave twice for 2 hours worth of drug counseling. Actually, the first time I had to do a 3-hour intake with a new drug counselor because the person I was working with had their contract with the federal government canceled. As so often happens, a new lower bidder came in. So I had to go through the same process. That meant leaving work for 3 hours. So I leave work 3 hours that day. I go back, I go to work. 2 days later, my number comes up for a drug test. Once again, I've got to leave work for an hour, go take the drug test. Then the new counseling service, I had to go and do a 1-hour counseling session, which meant being gone for about 1 hour and 40 minutes because you have to do the round trip and all of that jazz. Then I get injured. When I do, I've talked to you guys about the injury. I had to go to one of these urgent care kind of places as opposed to a regular hospital. I went to a place that was a Bennigan's when I lived in Reno the last time. I'm not being funny, people. It really is a Bennigan's restaurant, and they have converted it into an urgent care. So I spent 13 hours over the course of 3 days trying to get a doctor to take a look at this puncture wound. And he wrote me a prescription for some heavy antibiotics and told me that I needed to soak it in a solution that they gave me, some types of salts that you put into very warm water, because they weren't going to cut this open to get what was in it out. So over the course of about 3 days, I was able to soak this and sort of squeeze on it. Think Dr. Pimple Pusher, and I was able to squeeze out a couple of really good sized chunks of rotting wood that were buried in my finger. So on Thursday, which is the last day of the week we work because we do 410s, I went back to work. I got down there with about 6 hours to spare in the day, only to have the boss say to me, "You can't come to work today. Unfortunately, you got to go and deal with the temp agency that hired you because they're the people who pay your workers' compensation." So I drove all the way back up there, told them what happened, and they said, "Well, all you need is a letter from the doctor, so go down on Monday." This morning, I went down to urgent care to get that letter. I showed up exactly when my appointment was, which was nice. I got there on time, right? 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, 9:30. By 9:34, I was in the back waiting in an examination room, feeling pretty confident that this might be a decent day. 3 hours later, I was still sitting in that examination room and had yet to see a doctor. The doctor came in and spent about 30 minutes giving me a sort of a new regimen that I'm going to be doing with this. There's a different type of bandage they want on it because they don't want it to scab over. They want this to remain open so that anything still in there can sort of work its way out. Still going with the antibiotics, took another shot of antibiotics, and then was told I needed to come back again 6 days later. But I got a note saying I could go back to work. By then, the day was almost done. So I called the employment agency and said, "Could you tell the people I'm working with," because I'm not allowed to talk to them directly, I have to call the employment agency. I said, "Could you tell them that I will be there first thing tomorrow morning, right? 6 o'clock. At which time I was told I didn't work there anymore. So basically, people, I got fired for being injured on the job at this place, which I realize is a federal law that you can't do. You can't fire somebody for being injured on the job. If, however, you are through a temp agency, they don't fire you. They say, "We no longer need your services." You still, of course, work for the temp agency, who's more than happy with what I've done because I followed their instructions. But I lost a job I really liked. And the worst part of it is the reason it happened is because of page 2 Tommy. I mean, plain and simple. They hired a convict. They hired a convicted felon who they know has a drug problem. They know I've got to go and seek counseling a couple of times a week. They know that I have to go and take drug tests whenever my number comes up. It's random, but it's going to end up being a couple of times every week. And based on those things, they made a decision that they didn't want me, which was frustrating. I mean, to beat hell, it was frustrating. And I took this as an opportunity to get a chance to talk to you people about dealing with frustration, because this is a reality that happens to us all the time as recovering addicts. And I don't read the comment section anymore as I do this, as then I've explained to you why on numerous occasions, so I won't get into it again, but I'm better off if I just sort of focus on what I'm doing and sort of play to the camera. And that works better. That's great. But I can tell you now, without looking at the comment section, that I'm going to get a whole host of people who say they can't do that to you, right? That's not right. That's not legal. People, they didn't fire me. You understand? All they said was, because I don't work for the company I was at, I work for a temp agency. And the temp agency says, well, your services are no longer needed at that location. It doesn't matter that that place is still hiring, right? But I'm not needed there anymore. So I still have my job and I'm still being paid for the time that I've been gone because I'm injured. But that's not the point. The point is I found a job I liked and I was good at it. And the schedule was perfect and it was really giving me an opportunity to continue what I do here. And the frustration of being treated like a convict or like a drug addict really crept into to my life today. And I had, several hours of just really bumming out. I talked to Mark about it and a couple of other people that I'm close with. Amazingly, and I'll say this, it wasn't Johnny, but there were some people in my family who I'm not bad mouthing my family, and I get it. This is something that I need to say right now. I get it. But my family viewed this as if it was my fault. Welcome to the world of the recovering addict. And I should rephrase that. Maybe they didn't say it was my fault, but what they said was, well, you have to understand where they're coming from. And what that basically means is that with my past, you break wind and people assume you're already, back in the spoon. The fact that where I was going was to take drug tests should make the place happy that, hey, at least we got one guy on this damn job site who's not high, because I promise you the rest of the employees there were. And when I got injured, I had to give a hair sample. I had to give a urine sample. I was clean. They knew I was good. But nevertheless, what they saw on paper was a guy who used to use, right? A guy that had been to prison, and he wasn't here. For whatever reason, he wasn't here. And they let me go. People, we have earned a decent amount of scrutiny because of the things that we've done in our past. And I did a whole show on this once. You know, you have to understand society not wanting to say to every single addict who says, well, now I'm clean. Society's not going to believe us every single time until we can prove it. And unfortunately, over the course of a week, I didn't spend enough time at that job, I guess, to really prove it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't sting. But when you get those feelings that sting, when you get those things that hurt, you know, the old serenity prayer really kind of creeps back into you, because what I'm dealing with right now is something that I have zero control over. All I can do is live the best life that I can. All I can do is trudge forward, do the right thing again and again and again, and trust that eventually society will catch up with who I am. In the meantime, fortunately, I got a pretty good crew of people who believe in me. And to come here and share, people, it's what I encourage all of you to do every day, right? Come to the comment section. Tell us if you're hurting. Tell us what's going on with you. You have to understand that when you sit in front of this camera and do exactly that, that you open yourself up for a different kind of scrutiny. And I've been holding back on sharing certain things in my life that that have been painful. And I did it because as much as I can build a very safe environment for all of the people on the boat, I can't build one for me. And that's just the nature of what YouTube is, and it's the nature of what goes on. But I signed up for this to share what's going on in my life. So I'm going to do that and tell you that I'm hurting. Today's been a day that I felt it stung. Now, the beautiful thing is, I got a really fantastic brother in Mark. I've got a blood brother in Johnny, and I've got a couple of other people that really care that I was able to reach out to and get the same support that I'm always telling you people you can get on the boat. I got it. I really did. And where I'm at right now at 25 minutes after the hour of 6 is not where I was at 12:30 when they finally let me out of that doctor's office, only to let me know that I was canned. And the beautiful thing is this, people, courage is such a lovely thing. I drove down to the employment agency and I dropped off the paperwork that said, I'm clean to go back to work. I said, so we're good, right? Monday? And the guy looked me in the eye and said, oh yeah, no, yeah, you're good. Do make sure you call us in about 5 or 10 minutes though and talk to so-and-so. For lack of a better way to put it, he didn't have the onions to look me in the eye and say, in spite of the fact that you've done nothing wrong, you've been let go. That's what it boiled down to. I was sitting in his office, and it's the nature of where we're at in the society that we're in right now. People tend to be a whole lot more bold when they're sitting with a keyboard or a phone and they're not in the same room as you. As I walked into there and was standing next to this gentleman, and I'm not trying to be the big tough guy, but this dude was 5'6" and looked at me like, oh, I don't want this angry looking convict upset with me. I mean, that was really basically, I think the decision process on this guy was, I need to get him out of here and have him call back and let somebody else tell him the bad news. I was proud of myself that I didn't come unglued on the nice lady that called me. Because, I mean, honestly, it's not her fault. It really isn't. And you know what, people, as jacked up as it is, you know whose fault it is? It's page 2 Tommy's fault. And that's the reality of this. I spent 25 or 30 years being a piece of trash in how I lived. If I expect the world to trust that this time when I said, hey, I'm clean, you got nothing to worry about, that they're all just going to believe it instantly, then that's not very realistic. People, if I had gotten sober the very first time I ever tried, people probably wouldn't trust me. But I took decades for this to stick. I took decades for me to catch up with who I wanted to be. So I find myself in some situations that are tough. Now, if you all remember, the last time I left a job and was sort of pained by that, I got a better paying job with better hours, and it was a better gig. Now, the logical guy should sit down and say, boy, there's 10 million jobs in the US that no one's filling. So what I did was when they said, well, we're going to get you another job, I said, well, not at that price. because if this is how I'm going to get treated at places, here's what I intend to be paid. Here are the hours I'm willing to work. And I was far more specific in exactly what it is that I want. And again, people, this is my focus now, right? I no longer focus over here because I want to deliver the best product possible. And to do that, I sort of have to look like I'm engaging with you. You know what I mean? And if I don't engage with you, then the people who are checking out the boat for the first time see somebody who looks a little scatterbrained. So this day and age, until a very certain part of the video, which is later on, I don't bother reading the comment section. I know I'm going to have a flock of people who are now coming to my aid and my assistance, who are going to tell me I'm a great guy. And the world should not judge me for the things that I've done in my past. I should be judged on what I'm doing from this point forward. And you know what, people? That's the truth. I think we all agree with that. So let's do that amongst ourselves. But if we use the word should outside this boat, we should have our head examined. Every day we talk about what society views addicts as, right? We know how addicts are treated by society. We talk about it day in, day out. If they were going to treat me based on the fact that I said I'm clean and based on the fact that I'm now living that life, folks, we wouldn't need a boat. You follow me? The reason that we need this boat is because the rest of the world isn't going to live up to the standards that they tell us we need to. They preach great stuff like that, right? Dial this 800 number and we're going to help you get sober. And we've got drugfree.org and we've got this association, and we've got that association. And the truth of the matter is, they still think you're a junkie, even if you prove otherwise. Now, I'm not here to pee and moan. It's not what I'm doing. But I'm here to give you a really good dose of why what we're doing here on this boat is so important, number one. And number two, eyes wide open, people. Don't think for a second because you're doing the right stuff and you're fighting the good fight that they're going to accept that instantly. Because the truth of the matter, people, is they're not. And what's jacked is, if you're really honest, you kind of got to understand where they're coming from. How many times have I said to people, no, this time I'm sober? Now, granted, I didn't say it to anybody I'm working with. You understand what I'm saying? People have watched so many people over the course of their lives try to get sober. And the reality is relapse, right? The reality is you're going to get knocked down 8 times and you're going to get up 9, or you're going to get knocked down 25 times to get up 26. That's the reality. So if society looks at me and says, I don't know, man, you took off a few times. Now, there are things that you could do to try to make it better. And what's crazy, people, is I did, right? Every time I had to go someplace, I would go up to my boss, I would pick out my phone and I would go, here, check this out. See this? I got to take a drug test today. Here it is. Or here I got to go and I got to do a counseling session. But I would hand him, proof of where I was going. I would tell him exactly how far away it was so that he knew it was going to be a 15-minute trip there and it was going to be a 15-minute trip back. Give me 30 minutes to pee in a cup in case there's a line. You follow? I went out of my way to do the right thing. And the first time I contacted Mark, I said to him, man, I didn't do anything wrong. I did exactly what they told me to do. And Mark said, I worked at a factory for decades and we worked with temp agencies. And if somebody was late or if somebody had to leave for an appointment or if somebody was sick or anything happened in the first couple of weeks, they fired him pro forma, not even a question, because they just figured temp agencies are going to keep sending people over. Why would you take somebody that might have to go to an appointment from time to time? Makes sense, doesn't it? As awful as it is, it makes sense. And they had a quota. They wanted me to do 15 of these things that I was building. I did 35 of them. So from a business standpoint, they screwed the pooch because they had a guy that was going to show up and be sober and continue to work and do exactly what he was supposed to. And I have really come to the realization since about noon, 12:30, when this started to sink in, that I didn't lose out. They did, truthfully. They had a guy that runs a sobriety channel, right? They had a guy who really has dedicated the rest of his life to trying to do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. And you let that guy go because he got injured? Yeah, they screwed themselves. They really did. The guy that they're, and where I live, I'm not trying to bag on this town, but the guy that they're going to replace me with got about a 50-50 shot that he's going to be doing meth, because the guys that are going through these temp agencies right now, look, this is 2 jobs in a row where there was a big chunk of guys in there that are getting high. Now, they're easy to avoid. I didn't care. I liked what I was doing. But I put in 5 apps today. I went through places other than the temp agency, although they tell me that they'll have me a job tomorrow. But the best of the news, people, is that that's not my job, right? That's not my career. This is my job. That's some stuff that I do to keep the federal government off my back because I have to have a 40-hour-a-week gig in order to remain free. There's a few things I got to do. I got to pass every single drug test. A lot of you have been on state probation, right? You get 3 strikes. You fail 3 of those drug tests, you're going back to prison. Try the feds. There is a no strike policy. If you fail a drug test, they send it off to an independent lab to be done with gas, chroma, spectra, whatever, where they do the super heavy duty test that there's no way that it's ever going to come up wrong. But if you fail that one, they're going to put handcuffs on you. They're going to take you back to prison. And you're going to do the remainder of your time there. That's the first thing you got to do. The second is you can't miss any of those appointments ever. There's just no reason you can miss them. And truthfully, they make that kind of easy. If something's going screwy, they'll let you do it by Skype. That one's kind of, that one's not the burden that it used to be because of technology. That's not that hard. And the other is you have to maintain a full-time job. When I talked about what I was doing here, the man said to me, if you make $100,000 a week doing what you're doing on YouTube, I will not consider that a job. Can you imagine that statement? Making $100,000 a week? Now, people, I would have to have this channel for, 3 millennia to get to that kind of. If you realize how this process works, that's not something that's going to happen. But the point being, they don't consider what I'm doing important. You hear me? They don't consider what I'm doing here important. Next to breathing and taking care of my immediate blood family, I don't consider anything more important than what I'm doing here. And that's just the way it is. And it's about all I got to say about that. And I'll tell you something, people. Every once in a while, when life is kicking you really hard in the stomach, the universe has a way of evening that stuff out, right? But you kind of got to stay on the positive side of things in order to get to those miracles, for lack of a better way to put it, right? You kind of got to really stay in there and keep your head in the game to get to those type of miracles. So I'm talking to Mark and I'm talking to some other people on the boat, and I'm reaching out and I'm telling people I'm hurting and how I'm doing. And then a funny thing happened. I checked Social Blade. Social Blade, if you do not know what that is, it's a place that keeps track of everybody in social media. And it gives them a report card on how they do what they do. However, 99 out of 100 people are never actually going to get a report card. They'll tell you how many people watched a video of yours in a day, or they'll tell you how many subscribers came on board or things like that. But if you actually get to the point where you're doing something, you get a report card. They'll give you a grade. That grade goes from just like you would have in high school, A, B, C, D, right? F. They don't actually give out Fs. They just, if you have an F, you don't have a report card, period. I guess they don't want people to be too depressed. But I check it on a regular basis because it is the easiest way for me to see exactly what is going on with the growth of the channel. It all sort of in one place. And it's a great little tool for, looking at stuff. People, I don't want to get caught up in the minutia. I've talked to you about this. I don't want to be looking at analytics because analytics will make you go down a rabbit hole that will make you really screwy. It'll get you to change things that you're doing, even if they're working. Because you say, oh, goodness, we dropped off 1.3%. I don't play that game. However, I do spend a decent amount of time looking at Social Blade. So, funny thing happened. While all this is going on, I checked Social Blade to look at the statistics and to see how we were doing as a channel. And do you know what I found, people? I found a grade. We now have been graded on Social Blade. Now, you know that I talk about a couple of other channels, only because we love them, and I'm never saying anything bad about them. The one that you hear me talk about the most would probably be Chase the Heat. If your brother happens to run a very successful YouTube channel, you tend to do, some comparison stuff. Chase the Heat was a channel for about 1 year and 3 months, I believe, before he got a Social Blade grade. We have not made 3 months, and we have a Social Blade grade. And people, I encourage you to go over to Social Blade and check it out because it's fun. But would you believe me if I told you we came out of the gate at a C+? People, if you understand Social Blade, that's smoking, people. That's smoking. That takes channels 3, 4, 5 years to get a C+. We came out the gate hot at a C+. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of other statistics, people, because this is you. You understand? I'm not up here bragging about me. I'm bragging about the boat, and you are the boat. I got a beautiful message today, a comment from someone who said, boy, thank you for what you do. I said, are you kidding? Thank you for letting me be captain of your boat. Thank you for letting Mark and I have the coolest seats in the house. That's really what's going on. And the more you hang out here, the more you're going to realize I'm not kidding. That's why we let you pick what times things are going to go up. We let you name the boat. This isn't our boat. It's not. We just get the cool seats and a really cool hat. Got to admit, this is a cool hat. Okay. So there are rankings with Social Blade. People, this will blow your mind. There are rankings with Social Blade. As far as subscriber ranks go, we are 58,703. 58,703. People, do you know how many channels there are? Would you believe me if I told you 56 million? Let me say that again. There are 56 million channels, and we come in at 58,703. On a Social Blade rank, they rank every single one of these channels going all the way up from 0 to 50 million and something. And we are 842,000 and some change, but we're under a million. People, if you do the math, we are in the top this percentage. We're killing it. And here's where it gets frightening. They rate you by country. So within the United States, which is either the second or the third largest market for all of YouTube, our Social Blade ranking is 24,000 people. With all of the channels out there, our country rank is 24,000. If you take a look at what we're doing here, people, when we say this is a phenomenon, this is a phenomenon. Like, we're not playing games. What we are doing here is literally changing how people not only look at sobriety, but it's changing how people look at social media. There are amazing, amazing things that we can do based on the fact that we're supporting one another in ways that aren't happening anyplace else. Let's see if that shows up there. Probably. Look at that, people. That is a C+. I promise you, you do a little research and look at other channels, and it's going to give you an idea of just how much you guys are hitting it out of the park by telling other people about what we're doing, by sharing the videos, especially stuff like the interviews that we're doing. You're literally hitting it out of the park. And what's happening is this phenomenon is gaining speed. It's kind of funny too, because obviously the metaphor of all of us being in the same boat is something that rules just about everything we talk about. Hence the whole captain thing and everything else. We talk about the boat, and the truth is, it takes an awful lot of time and juice for a boat to get going. You understand? You watch a cruise ship leave a harbor, and it can't even get rolling under its own steam. What they're going to do is they're going to use tugboats and things to push it out of the harbor, right? And then it's going to fire up those engines, which are massive, but it's going to crawl along at a snail's pace until it doesn't. And once that thing gets going, there's not much that can stop it, right? Like if you got to turn one of those around, it takes a mile. But that's what's happening, people. We are gaining momentum on this boat. And the best part is we got people standing on both rails, flinging life preservers off of the deck like there's no tomorrow. And we're hauling people into this boat. If you've been on the live feeds, there are new names every single day. And there are new people, and they're not stopping by, hitting subscribe and leaving. They're coming here and they're becoming part of this crew. They're becoming part of this family. They get welcomed. I mean, it's amazing. I've had so many people who send me emails and say, I've never been to a channel where, 9 people and said, hey, welcome to the boat. Is there anything I can do for you? Here, I'm on this platform and this platform. Reach out if you need me. You people make Mark and I more proud than either of us could possibly put into words. And this is proof because my bobble-headed brother is doing the Mark dance, right? He's in there right now doing da 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 da, just bobbing up and down. But honestly, the day that I started with and the day that I finished with, it goes to show you that there are going to be days that suck. There are. There are going to be days that our past messes with our future. But the only time that's really going to be an issue is if you let it happen, right? If I sat down on the couch and I spent 3 or 4 hours dwelling on the fact that, oh, no matter what I do, they're never going to let me forget my past. Okay, well, those people won't. I'll find a new crew of people to work for, plain and simple. I'm going to find a crew of people to work for who aren't going to judge me by what I did in the past. They're going to judge me by what I do today. And you know what they'll get? They'll get someone that works their tail off until I don't have to anymore. This probationary period with the federal government is on its last leg anyway, people. But and I've done a little research. There are some things that come the first of the year. If I go back and become a full-time student, then I don't have to have a full-time job. What I could do is do this on a far more full-time basis. And obviously, I would be going back to school. I have a college degree, but I would be going back to school and probably studying, oddly enough, things like chemical dependency, right? Go and get all of the cool certificates so that I don't have to deal with people going, well, what gives you the look? I'll get a couple of cool letters after my name, but what gives me the confidence to come here and do what I do isn't the fact that I've read a bunch of books. It's that I screwed up more than anybody on the planet. When we say we're all in the same boat, I'm in it more than the rest of you. There's a reason why if this thing hits an iceberg, I'm going down with the ship. It's because I have spent far more time screwing up than almost anybody. And I was very equal opportunity. You know what I mean? There weren't too many substances that I passed up. I was all about getting really screwed up on each and every one of them and living the worst lifestyle that you possibly can. You've heard me say it how many times? I was afraid that I wasted the first half of my life. So I took the first half of my life and decided I was going to use that life experience to try to save 6 people. Well, my original goal was to save everybody. But a guy in the shoe in Tucson, Arizona, suggested that 6 might be a good number. People, we're already through those 6, and 6 more, and 6 more, and 6 more. And we're just going to keep doing this. And I want to thank more than anything in the world, each and every one of you who jumps at the opportunity to welcome somebody onto this boat, who reaches out instantly every time you see a new name. I told you, I can't read what you people are writing while I'm doing this. But while I wait in the beginning and Mark is doing his thing and, I stare to see who's coming on board. I obviously do that. And while I sat there in the beginning, I saw somebody come in and everybody said, so it's your first time here? Welcome, 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 welcome. People, that's the dream. That's the dream that I said to Mark, boy, if we're there in 18 months, wouldn't that be great? People, it will be, let's see, we got 3 more days and we're going to be 3 months old. And we got a social blade rank and we got a bunch of people who are coming on this boat and doing the right thing. And we got people getting sober, right? I talk about Joe Birdwell all the time because that interview just blew so much life into me. But there's a ton of Joe Birdwells. There really are. I got so many people sending me emails that say, I quit 3 days ago. I quit 4 days ago. Or I got one yesterday that said, I promise you I'm quitting in the next 3 days. That's more exciting than anything, right? That person's been here getting high, coming here every day with a buzz, and it's sunk in. You understand? That's the beauty of this. So if in your head you think, well, so-and-so uses, but I don't think I'm going to invite him on the boat because I don't think he's ready yet. Don't ever be that arrogant to believe that you can figure out when someone's ready. I promise you, they're not even going to know when they're ready. Invite everybody that needs this. Don't think that, well, they're not ready yet, or, they're give them a little time. Giving people time can kill them. Let me tell you what else happened today. The newest statistics came out for basically the Office of Drug and, I can't remember what it is, something drug management. I can't think of it. But anyway, the new statistics came out. CDC has a department that just deals with drugs and drug overdoses and statistics. And you remember I was quoting there are 190 a day, right? And then I said, the newest one that I saw actually had it above 200 people, 96,000 people in the last 365 days have died from drug overdoses. These are documented. I promise you, people, there are so many that don't get documented because of wherever they happen to die, it just gets written down as a heart attack or it just gets written down as whatever. But documented cases of drug overdose deaths in the US alone was 96,000 people in 365 days. That comes out to 263 people a day. 263 people a day. Think of the number of people on this boat, right? We're right at about the 1,700 mark. So it would take us, what, 6 or 7 days? And the whole boat would be gone. Not one of us left. You start thinking about it in those terms and it ought to frighten the hell out of you. It really should. This is the world that we're living in. And you know what, people? It's not slowing down. It's gaining momentum. Every year now we're losing more and we're losing more. So when I do this one at the end of the videos and I say between now and then, right? There's only one thing I want you to do. I want you to go out there and I want you to try to save somebody. It's not just something that I say that I think is cool, although I do think it's cool. I say that because 263 people are going to be dead by the time we meet again. Don't let it be somebody you know. Don't get to a point where you think, oh, I should have invited that guy to the boat. Because we're running out of time. To save the people we care about, we're running out of time because they're dropping like flies. And our government isn't doing a whole lot. I don't care if you're what side of the aisle you're on, because they didn't do a lot in the previous 4 years and they're not doing squat now. If this is going to be, it's up to me. And I don't mean me. I mean, every single person on this boat has to say the exact same thing. If it's going to be, it's going to be up to me. All of us have to take that stance, right? If everybody on this boat saves one person this year, you have any idea how big that ripple goes out? If everybody on this boat just invited one person on here that got sober, the world is not the same place in 2022 than it is in 2021. We've already done that. I mean, we've changed the world, but holy mackerel, can we change it more? So when you hear me say that, right, at the end of the videos, take it to heart, people. Start thinking about the people you know who really need to clean up, the people whose lives are in danger because of their habits or because of their drug of choice. And if you ever see me write DOC in a comment, somebody said to me, what is DOC? That is drug of choice, right? You know, everybody know that? Your DOC, that would be your drug of choice. And since we say drug of choice so damn often, and I have very large fingers that don't type well, DOC, people, if we talk about DOC, that's what we're talking about. And there's a lot of people out there who just DOCs are threatening their very existence on this planet. We're running out of time to get these people. So that is my rant for the day. This is the part of the show where I normally talk to my bobble-headed better half partner, and find out what's been going on whilst I haven't been reading. Mark, don't mute yourself.
What is up, guys? Hope everybody's doing okay. Sorry about that little bit of a technical thing there in the beginning. That was my fault. Just trying to work some things out. Still working the bugs out, but we're going to get it. Got a couple super chats that came in. Joe came in twice with a couple of those, and Fi came in just a few minutes ago with one. So thank you guys. You guys are amazing when you guys do that. You're amazing when you don't. So
true story.
Yeah. It's just it's so. And I know Tommy probably feels the same way. We talked about this, so I know he has. It's a very, very humbling thing when somebody donates like that. It's something special. It really is. It makes you feel a certain way that you probably. It's just really. It's an odd feeling for people that actually care. People that don't care and just out here doing it for whatever reason, they won't feel the same. I can promise you that. But I do, guys, thanks for coming in here and putting up with a little bit of the technical stuff there. And during the live streams, just for future reference, if you see like the lifeboat logo pop up in the chat, that's probably me. I do that because trying to type on my phone, and communicate with you guys is just so hard to do while I'm trying to do everything else. When I'm doing this, I'm literally doing it from my couch on a TV tray with a laptop. it's it's if you guys could, I'll show you one day where I'm sitting and how I'm sitting here. If you guys could see it, you'd probably laugh. But that's yeah. Now I do have a desk. I'm trying to get a desk put up in my wife's sewing room. She's a seamstress, as a second job type of thing. But I'm going to share that room with her, and I'll be in there. I'm going to try to get a desktop computer and all that kind of stuff. Make sure everything's good to go on that end. But for now, that's what's going on with that. And yeah, guys, I do want to say I appreciate you guys reaching out to people in the chat too. We don't always catch all the questions, and you guys are stepping up. There was a guy I hadn't seen in here before. I believe his name was Terry. I'm pretty sure. He caught a question that I missed, and nobody else seen it either. Yeah, Terry DeGrom, I believe is his name. So thanks, Terry, for doing that. Thank you for being here, and I think this is the first time you're here. If not, you were just first time chatter. I think I don't know if I recognize you, but thank you for doing that and caring enough to say, hey, that guy had a question. You might see what he had to say, and it was legit. So and that's cool. So thanks for doing that. And yeah. And Chi, I have no idea how you lost your wrench again, but you got it back. I don't know what happened.
I have not touched anything.
Yeah.
I have not touched anything. It couldn't have been me this time.
Right. So I don't know what happened there, to be honest with you. Because I don't even go to that section in YouTube, and I know Tommy hasn't touched nothing there either. So
I'm not smart enough to get to that section in YouTube.
But it's like a special little part of YouTube you go to add your moderators and things, and you intentionally have to go there. It's not like it just pops up. So that's what I'm saying. It's a technical thing. It probably happened or whatever. But I just wanted to say that just so everybody knew there wasn't nothing like stupid drama or anything going on.
No.
Yeah. There's we've been really fortunate to have some great moderators. Tommy's done a really great job picking them. And it's, and that, let me tell you something, that if I had to pick one like important part of any YouTube channel, it would be the moderators. I run my own channel over there with Space Weather, and without them, you can forget it. Seven's in here, Leisure. He's one of my moderators. I can't remember who else. Well, I made Fi, and Tommy obviously is too. But yeah. Yeah. If you don't have them while you're doing live streams, especially as we grow, it will become very, very difficult to run the channel. They become very, you get people in here just being disruptive. So what I'm saying is I appreciate the moderators more than anybody could ever say. And I also want to say congratulations to Joe. This is day 23 for him. That's an awesome thing. We try to check in on everybody. Oh, Arizona's here too. She's one of my moderators too. So Arizona Raven. Yeah, she's a really good. She really tries to be active and really tries to help. And you can feel it, guys. You guys see it in the chat. You really do. We don't even have to say it. I mean, honestly, we just say it because we want to make sure that people know that we appreciate it. So, and that's why. But yeah. As far as what happened to Tommy today with his job, and he mentioned about me working at a factory for 20 years. I live in a state where, you don't have the right to work. It's nothing like that. It's and I used a pretty crazy description to explain that to Tommy, but that I'm not going to repeat here. But they can literally just let you go for no reason. They don't have to provide a reason. And there's a lot of different views on that. But what happened to Tommy today obviously was not right. I mean, regardless if he was, if he was being discriminated against because of a past addiction or if he wasn't, what happened today to him was not right. And that affects him. That affects everybody. And he said it well when he said, this is why we're all on the same boat, because he's not immune to that stuff just because he's sitting in that chair. And that's exactly what's happening. And he reached out to, like you said, to me, to Johnny, and I imagine to a lot of other people that, and he probably didn't get the support from one direction or the other, but I guarantee you he got the support from at least a few of us
No question.
that do understand it. And it doesn't make those people, and I want to touch on if I could, just touch on the family thing, because I got an example that happened with me. I was going to watch my nephew one time, and my sister asked me to watch him babysitting, and I had to go to my clinic to get my medication the next day, my prescription, and it's a really well ran place now. It didn't used to be, but when I was going to take him out there, it was. They don't even allow the kids into certain parts of the building, right? I mean, it's like that. They really try to protect the kids from seeing stuff that they shouldn't and all those kinds of things. But they also realize that people have kids. People have lives. They have to do those kinds of things. And yes, I'll get rid of that hand in just a second. That thumb. But, yeah. So what happened was I was just talking to my sister about it, and my mom overheard. And this is not a shot against my mom, because it was just an instantaneous reaction. Okay? Thank you, Fly. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But she actually said, I don't want him out there with those people. Okay? And I have to admit, right, at first I was mad. Oh, my God. It just hit me because the first thing it hit me was, I am one of those people.
Yep.
So that kind of, it hit me right in the face, like right away. And it was her birthday. We were like doing her birthday party type of thing. So I tried not to really say anything. And so I just kind of walked out of the room to collect myself. And I didn't want to say anything. But we ended up having a conversation later. And I say this because I learned from this, and so did she. She did not mean it the way that it came out. Right? So why I'm bringing this up is that we're going to have those kinds of encounters, and yes, sometimes we get discriminated against, but there's other times we're going to have to understand that not everybody understands what we go through, and they can empathize, but they can't sympathize, and we're going to have to be able to recognize that when it happens and give them some, I guess, a little bit of courtesy in the fact that they have to learn just like we had to. And, and I'm not saying, I don't know exactly what happened with Tommy today. I'm not saying that at all. I don't, that's not why I'm even mentioning this. I just think that was, it's a very similar thing that happened there. You're not always going to get the responses you want, and it's not always a shot at you either. Sometimes they just simply don't even know they just said that. Because it was like an immediate, like, when my mom said that, it just came right out, It's like, and then she didn't even think about it, and when she came and asked me what was wrong, and I told her, she most definitely was apologetic. So it wasn't like it was a... But on the other hand, I understood what she was saying. I was going to take my 3-year-old nephew to a drug clinic. Because in my mind, I was thinking it was like in my mind, it's just a regular doctor's office or whatever, something I do all the time. And I wasn't thinking about that side of it. So I understood. And, when I first got clean out there, I was actually, 3 people hit me up. 2 of them wanted to buy Suboxone off of me, and one of them wanted to sell it to me.
Yeah.
And then as I made it halfway across the parking lot, they were trying to give me methadone. And again, guys, this is early on. We're talking 11 years ago now. That stuff does not happen nowadays. It does, but not to the level that it did. And so what I'm saying is I understand all that, and I hope you guys could kind of get a little something from that. Anybody that's struggling with any of that kind of stuff, just realize when, especially like your family, your family loves you. So sometimes they say things that they don't really know what it actually sounds like until it comes out. And, and that's something I had to learn. And again, I don't know. I'm not saying that about Tommy's situation today. That's just something that happened to me. So, I would encourage anybody in recovery to take that in consideration. We've all been taught this. They haven't yet. And it's up to us. Unfortunately, that is the bed we're laying in. You know, we're the ones that made that bed, so we're going to have to fight through that if we care. And eventually, let
No
me tell you,
question.
yeah, and it gets easier. So just so you know, it does. It gets easier as time goes on. It really does. So anyway, I love all you guys. I'm gonna shut my big bobblehead up. Yeah, but you guys are right. When Tommy says I'm bobbleheading, I don't even realize I'm doing it. But I'm like doing all my stuff, and he's talking, and I'm agreeing. So my head's just shaking up and down all the time. So anyway, love you guys. Tommy, all yours, brother.
I appreciate you. And you know, people, it really is an opportunity. You know, when things like this happen, and I come here and I talk to you people, it's because we are all in the same boat. There's no getting around that. And my job is to bring up things that are going to happen to you on the road to happiness, right? Things that you're going to have to overcome in recovery. And that is really, I mean, when it boil it right down, that's what I'm here to do. So I need to always share what's going on in my life with you, because if I don't, I'm coming up short. And you know, when I had the C plus math, I had people that said, "Man, don't film that. Look, there's nothing I'm not filming." I mean, I really hope you get it. There's nothing I'm not filming. I am a recovering drug addict, and I stress recovering. I am a recovering drug addict, and my job is to make people believe, number one, that it can be done, because it can, and number two, anybody that's looking in from the outside, they need to see people. I was able to read some of the comments as they were just going by, and there was a comment that said, "We're always going to look like mutants to the straights." And you know, there's something to that. There really is. But I think we're making headway. Honestly, I do. I mean, today, notwithstanding, that was kind of a screwy thing that happened today. But you know, Mark kind of hit it home. You do have to understand that they're not judging necessarily me by me. This is a place that goes through probably 6 to 7 employees a month because of drugs. So when they see a guy that misses a couple of, that has to leave a couple of times during the day, for all they know, this is a guy that's running off to get high. And then I say to him, "Here, check this out." And I show him, "I've got to take a drug test." It is the nature of the beast. I get it. Doesn't mean I'm not a little bitter. But the key is that, and hopefully this is what you get out of what happened today, is that no matter how much you feel like you're bitter or it stings or whatever it is, that only lasts as long as you let it last, right? You have to get good you have to get excellent at being able to put these things behind you and keep moving on with a positive attitude. And I'm not great at it, people. I promise you, I don't have all the answers, and I never claim to. I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to sit here and grow with you people. And I'm going to have ups, I'm going to have downs, but I promise you, I'm never going to hide any of them. I'm going to come here and I'm going to get through, and I'm going to keep doing the right thing, and good things are going to happen. And I saw one other comment that said, "Man, I don't think you have any idea how big this boat is going to get." And you're right, I don't. I promise you, I don't. I don't think any of us do, but it's going to get big, people. I promise. And the one thing that I will sit here right now and say that you don't have to worry about is, while I'm drawing breath and I can still remember my name, I'm going to be here doing what I do. And I'm not letting the bobblehead leave. I will literally handcuff him to something, because I quite simply can't do this without him. So the two of us will be here doing what we do and fighting the good fight. And God bless each and every one of you that I reached out to today who helped me. Mark said something, and this is so important to me, people, that you understand this. I love my family, and I don't blame him any more than he blamed his mom for what she said, because it's just kind of what society has learned, right? But the support that I needed today, I got from my family, and none of them shared my blood. You understand what I'm saying? The people that helped me the most today are my family that I didn't grow up with. They're my family that I chose. And make no mistake, when they say you can't choose your family, I give you permission to curse just once. Say something about bovine, whatever, right? A little BS on that, because you absolutely can choose your family. We do it here every day, and it just makes life better. People, tomorrow morning at 8:00, I'm going to be announcing the interview tomorrow night. And I think I'll probably tell you who it is, just so that we get a good sized crowd, because I think this one might just get your attention. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the Lifeboat. That is bobblehead Mark. People, between now and tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know exactly what you're supposed to do, right? We went over this. Get out there and try to save somebody because there's nothing more important. 263 a day, people. All righty. Thank you all.